Hey everybody, how you doing? Jamion back at you again this happy Monday, December 27th. Hope everybody's in a good place, in a safe space. It's my birthday, y'all. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. I'm so happy to be here today. This is my born day, y'all. My born day 47 years ago. To this day, I'm so happy to be here. I know I don't look like I'm 47. I feel like I'm 27. So let's get to it. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday period. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Hope you got everything that you wanted. I hope you were able to give. I hope you were able to give. Life is about giving. Last week we talked about vulnerability and these security blankets that we create, these shells that we create so we don't let people in, how that impacts your vulnerability. We talked about all those things. If you didn't get a chance to go watch it, you got to go check it out. It was really awesome how we landed the plane and talked about those different concepts. It was so good. It was so good. So I want to continue this topic about vulnerability. And we talked about dealing with past hurts the last time and how we create these protective shells so that we're not hurting the future and how that never lets people fully in. And I want to talk about today, how do we start to deconstruct that shell? How do we start chipping away at that ice around your heart so that you can really enjoy and live the life that you deserve, this juicy life of abundance that's coming to you in 2022? I want to talk about something that Maxwell Maltz continues to talk about in psycho-cybernetics. Also, as we talk about You Are Your Best Thing, they talk about it too in this book too, just in very different ways, but it talks about wounds, dealing with wounds. And I think about wounds, emotional wounds that people have. And people carry these wounds throughout the course of their life, and some people never let them go. It's like holding a grudge, and I know I have certain things that I'll hold a grudge. I can be very stubborn, and I think about some of the people in my life, like my family, and I know we all have it. I'm just being vulnerable with you about who I am, and I know that every family has it, but you have certain people may be you, where you think about your life and you still hold a grudge on some, maybe something that your mom did or didn't do, or maybe something your father wasn't around, or maybe he was always in jail, or just not there to be a family figure for you, and you still holding on to that grudge, that wound. So anytime you interact with him or her, it's like you kind of go into this shell. Oh, vulnerability. What's your vulnerability with your mother, your father, right? Those conversations you've never had. Want to talk about some of those things because it's very important for you to live the future, living the life that you want to have. You got to remove the past. Like I told you, I have certain family members that are still living in their past. And the one thing that I want to make sure is that I don't live my life to the point where I'm burying my past with me, or I'm just holding on to my past, this grudge that, my father wasn't around because he couldn't be. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's something that I had to do once I understood why. And I'll talk to you about it here in a second, but I just want to make sure that we don't live a life full of grudges and wounds. And it starts with, and they talk about it in Maxwell Maltz's book, Psycho-Cybernetics, he talks about forgiveness. And I know we've talked about letting it go in the past and things of that nature, but he talks about forgiveness, but there's two forms of forgiveness. Just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean that you're letting it go. I'll never forget, I was in college, and my roommates love them to death. My boys were still together. My ribs were still together for a very long time, still very close friends. And one of them had this cologne bottle that he got from his mom. And I think it was called Mediterranean or something like that. It was one of the loudest colognes I've ever smelt in my life, but his mom got it for him. So rest in peace, Mama. We love you. But it had very sentimental value to him. And him and his roommate at the time, they used to go back and forth and bicker and not get along at times. And they were constantly like poking at each other, and those vulnerabilities, that self-esteem, right? And one time they got in an argument, and the other roommate decides, you know what, I'm gonna steal your Mediterranean, I'm gonna spray it all over the dorms, right? And it was just like the whole dorm just exploded. And I just remember they were going at it back and forth so hard, I thought they were about to kill each other, and we were holding them back. And eventually he said, you know, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. I forgive you, but I'll never forget. And I'll never forget that moment when I inherited that same lingo, that same sentence into my life. And I look back on it, right? And it's what Maxwell Maltz calls revengeful forgiveness. Revengeful forgiveness. It's like, I'm forgiving you, but I'm not letting it go. So anytime I see you, it might pop up, or that emotion may come to me, and it may take us down another path that's not going to be very positive. It's like that husband or that wife that have that relationship, and the husband decides to go cheat on her, and all these things, and it's just repetitive infidelity or repetitive abuse, physical abuse. And it's like, I forgive you, but I'll never forget. And all of a sudden it keeps happening, because it starts to become revengeful forgiveness, where the other person is just dangling it over you, like you have to make sure that you feel remorse and resentful because, hey, I forgave you, but I'm not forgetting. And that's not really a healthy forgiveness. And oftentimes we do that, and it's a wound. It's a grudge that we're continuing to hold, and we're just carrying it, y'all. We're just carrying it. I mean, I remember my uncle would always tell me, like, you know, I forgave my father for things that he did, but I'm not going to forget. And I know he still holds these grudges, and it kills me. It does. Because I don't want him to die like that. Does that make sense to you? So he talks about the difference between revengeful forgiveness and therapeutic forgiveness. And therapeutic forgiveness comes with a high level of maturity, a high level of self-esteem and self-confidence, because it means that you're going to sever this thing completely. I forgive you, and it's done. And I feel like those relationships that are really worthwhile and have stood the test of time have understood the importance of therapeutic forgiveness. Understanding that I'm not going to put you in a cage because you hurt me, and I'm going to make sure that I control every action that you're doing and demasculate you so that you can't leave the house or feel comfortable doing the things that a man needs to do to feel like he's a man. Why don't you forgive him completely and let it go? Therapeutic forgiveness. I know this is not easy, but it really is what is required to afford a life of abundance, to get to our destination so that we can be creative and create our lives versus being zombies or being slaves. I hope that you think about this as you think about forgiveness this holiday season, as you're there with family. Maybe it's certain family members you're hanging out with that you really don't want to be hanging around because you still got this grudge that you didn't held on to, or maybe something happened 5-10 years ago, or at the family reunion, and all of a sudden you got to sit next to this person, or you got to look at them and just holding this grudge. And yeah, you forgave them, but you didn't really let it go. You said, hey, I'm not going to forget this moment. I want you to forgive and forget right now. Because I don't want you to carry this into 2022, because it's just going to be something that hinders you from getting to the abundance you need. Forgive everybody, and make sure it's therapeutic and not revengeful. And if it is revengeful, get out of it, because it's only going to turn into something that's not going to be healthy for you to live a life that you deserve. I hope that you've enjoyed this time. I hope you've taken some nuggets on my birthday. I really enjoy this topic. We'll continue some more vulnerability comments or topics in 2022. This ain't going nowhere. We're going to keep building on these topics, and I'm going to start bringing other people into it so that they can give their perspective on vulnerability and self-esteem. Hope you have a wonderful New Year's, everybody. I look forward to seeing you in 2022. Let's go, y'all. Self-esteem classes are starting in Q1. Discounts are happening for those that are wanting to spend some time with me to build up their self-esteem, improve their vulnerability, understand their awareness with the vulnerability. Happy 2022, y'all. I look forward to seeing you. I hope to spend more time here with you on Motivated Matters. Share this with your family and your friends and your tribe. Let's grow, y'all. Let's go. See you all in 2022. Take care.